wait to pop up over there on YouTube. Let's see, you know what? I never fiddled around with this. Let's see if I can retouch. I'm not sure what that means. All right. Here I am. I'm live. I can see myself now. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. And so I want to start with something very... Oh, hello, Robert Harrison. Hi, good to see you. Hello. Robert, my man. Hope you and Paul are doing okay. So, it's Monday. First of all, I want to say a quick thing that I learned today during the quick service at work, at the office. And somebody always speaks afterwards and says a quick Torah tidbit, if you will, from the teachings of Chabad. Hello, Blood Nose, hello. And the teaching that he shared, oh, sorry, I gotta mute this. The teaching that he shared, mute, right? Yes. The teaching that he shared today was that in this week's Torah portion, we have Paro, the king of Egypt, right, who dreams about cows and about grain. And we then have Joseph's dreams from the previous week, which are about manual labor in the field. And he says that the dreams, other than obviously what it means as far as the narrative of the Torah is concerned, if you will, what it means, let's say symbolically, or in other words, in a different way, it means that when you look at those two dreams, where one is a kind of finished product of sort, right? The cow, the grain, and it has to do with devouring, with food, with sustenance, right? The seven fat cows, the seven thin cows consume the fat, robust cows. Robust was the word that he used earlier today. And the thin stalks of grain eat the fat and healthy, let's say, right? Briot v'tovot, the good and healthy stalks. And there it's about consumption. And the actual consumption doesn't register in the thin cows, nor in the thin stalks. They remain as they were, because it simply is there. And there's no work involved. In the dream, they just eat each other, right? They rise up and they consume. And yet, if we see last week with Yosef's dream, right? Joseph's dream of being in the field and gathering the sheaves. Sheaves. One sheaf, many sheaves, right? Me'almim alumim. They were gathering the sheaves. No, it is sheaves. Whatever. Is it sheaves or sheaves? And that's actually working towards it. And he said that you can see this as two different ways in which you gain something, but one of them is through laboring and putting your heart and soul into it, right, and taking action. And the other one is simply consuming. And while both may have the same sort of experience at some point, the idea of earning it, right? What did our sages say in Pirkei Avot? Yagata umatzata ta'amin, right? If you work for it and you find something, believe it. But if you don't work for it, easy come, easy go. If you haven't worked for it, it might just disappear. It might disappear just as easily. So that idea of taking pleasure in working for things, even though sometimes it's such a pain in the ass when you're in the middle of it, working towards something has its merit. And obviously you need to be oriented in the right direction. You could work hard at world domination too. It doesn't mean that it's the thing to do. But he spoke of that today, and how that which you actually work for and earn is a lot more significant to you. All right, let's go to the chat. Before I go for a couple of comments from the recent days. Merry Monday, Hebrew Nazarite and Robert Harrison. So yes, to all of the followers of Jesus and the Christians or whoever out there, happy holidays to you. It's Hanukkah this week, it's Christmas this week. Yo, Ariel Marshall is here. Robert says, off the top of your head, the two sisters in Ezekiel, in your opinion, were they human or cities? Well, Aholah and Aholivamah are two cities. It's Jerusalem and Samaria, Jerusalem being the capital of the kingdom of Judah and Samaria being the capital of the kingdom of Israel. basically that's what they are, right? They took lovers and they turned away, and you think you suffered. And there's a dialogue in one of the Lamentations, not of Jeremiah, but of the Lamentations that are read, and well, on the fast of the 9th of Av, the day of the destruction of the temples. And there's a lamentation there, a kina, that is as if it's a dialogue between the two sisters, Ahola and Aholivama, Aholiva and Ahala and Ahaliva. So I don't think they were human. I think it's portraying the cities as women, and many times this repeats in the Bible of well, in different ways, right? Land, cities, whatever, right, being likened to women, to humans and to women, more specifically. Merry Christmas, Hebrew Nazarite, Blood Nose, and Ariel. Happy holidays to all. Indeed, indeed. This is, I'm getting hit with it kind of vicariously through the marketing writing that I do, right? The copywriting I do on a daily basis. It's all very festive and cheery and holiday-y. So, Merry Mondays, commented BMXers. Are you going to say Merry Wednesday on Wednesday as well? And, time will tell, you'll have to see. Now, last week on Christmas Day, I actually wore a Christmas sweater. I don't remember, I think my mother-in-law at some point bought it, but she didn't want it, or she bought it for someone who didn't want it, or maybe she bought it for me to begin with. It's been so many years, but I wore it only once, and that was last year to the office. I wore a Christmas, I might do that again this year. Yeshua, Jesus, Christianity aside, I think it's wonderful that there is such a holiday, of peace on earth, goodwill towards man. That whole thing. Glory to God in the highest. Okay. Kevin Investing said, I appreciate your response. Right, this was from the last week's Q&A. Or a recent Q&A, and he said, I appreciate your response. Action is definitely a higher force to implement change. Right, we were talking about the mind and about taking action, and I think I have mentioned this in the past, definitely, the Rav Kook in Orot HaTshuva, the Lights of Tshuva, of Repentance, and he says that the essential act, right, the action, right, the essential act, the fact that you're taking action in and of itself already encapsulates many different psychological, right, mental facets, things which, you're pondering change, you want to implement change, you have a desire to do it, but when you actually do it, that's when you are doing it. Until then, you're thinking about it, which has merit, but yes, a higher force to implement change is action. Sometimes, he says, as you mentioned, there are other forces that get in the way. Yes, and then you need to make that decision of, do I keep going, do I not? What is it that's in my way? Definitely, if you are in your own way, that happens all the time, to me anyway. I could imagine being in Solomon's position, to be able to yield change with so many resources. Right, so this was what, last week? Perhaps I mentioned Kohelet. I don't remember the context in which I would have, but okay. So, hang on, I'm getting the tea bag out of the mug. Today I'm with regular plain old black tea, black tea leaves, which I haven't had in a very long time. It's always been infusion this and green tea that, just plain black tea from the supermarket. Nice and cheap, as tea leaves should be. Not the labor, but the tea leaves, I suppose, should be. Anyway, I'm very happy with this. It's been a very long time, maybe years, since I had just plain black tea leaves. Or plain black tea leaves, like bagged, right? Plain black tea bags in the house. Hashdog said, as a fellow Nazir, I've got a personal question to ask you. How can I get it to you? So the reason I mention this is because, not because he hasn't gotten back to me. I told him where he could find me, incidentally. Right, you can email me, check out the About section on the YouTube page, or more, or whatever it is. And, in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite across the board, look for my tree. So I told him, the DMs and the email address that are written here, right, on YouTube, in the About section of the channel, and I told him to let me know if he does get in touch, because I need to be on the lookout for him. I'm not always there, or things don't always come through. This question didn't come through. I saw it a couple of days late. Doesn't matter, YouTube creator stuff. So the reason I bring it up is because I love it that through this channel I am able to find fellow Nazarites. Right, those who are Hebrew, proper, right, Hebrew Nazarites, those who are of the nations but have taken on the Nazarite vow. Like I always say, technically, halachically, they are not Nazarites. It says, Daber el bnei Israel, speak to the children of Israel. But if they choose to take something like that onto themselves, definitely if they do it for life, I can totally see how that can be a life-changing thing, regardless of whether or not you're technically a Nazir by the standards of the Hebrew tribes. People who follow the Bible by the numbers, right, are not usually they're not Jewish, not Hebrew. So who am I to go against that, you know? BMXers said about a short from a few days ago, you remind me so much of Abed from Community here, right? To which I said, and he said, I've said this before as well, that I watched a few episodes of Community, didn't really click with me. I might give it a shot later on. The one I might want to watch before that is either The Office or Parks and Recreation. I haven't seen either one of them. So we'll see. All right, let's skip back to the chat, tonight's chat, and see what's up. Ariel says, am I the only person that does not consider Solomon wise? Well, I think that he's considered wise since that's what he asked for during the revelation, right, in his during the night, and he said, I want wisdom to judge the people righteously. And so he is called the wise. And Vaterev Chochmat Shlomo, it actually says, right, that him, Mikol Bnei Kedem, Heimayna Ezrachi, he was wiser than this dude and that dude, and he spoke this and he spake that. And wisdom, it doesn't mean being smart, it doesn't mean being intelligent. I think wisdom is what you get after the intelligence and after the it's more street smarts than book smarts, I suppose, because it's what do you do? Wisdom is tied into, I think, heavily into action, perhaps more than other forms of intelligence. Wisdom, right? That mevin davar mitoch davar, learning something from something, going through an experience. There is a process there. And in that sense, I think Solomon is wise. And the things that he's said in Kohelet, in Mishlei, right, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and right, the way that he's portrayed there, I think that he had his faults, obviously, and Rechavam, right, the people come to him and they say, look, your father drove us hard, take it easy on us. And so you could say, what? Solomon the wise didn't know that he shouldn't work his people so hard? So you see, even the very wise are sometimes... Well, look what Rechavam did afterwards. Okay. Hello, Yaakov. Good to see you. Are you ready for Chanukah? He asks. I believe I am, in the sense of that I plan on lighting the candles, right, with a kosher Chanukiah and all. I plan on maybe hopefully taking some time off to remember the miracle, which was not the 8 days of oil that lasted, but the fact that there were 8 days of celebration after the purification of the temple and conquering right, taking over Jerusalem once again, the rededication of the temple, right? Over 200 years, just over 200 years, the Hashmonai dynasty stood. And it was such a thing that Chanukah was made to be, until Chanukah is taken away with the rest of them. Okay. King Solomon also calls wisdom to a female reference. Yes, that's right, in Mishlei. I have a video about that. Well, never mind, I won't get into it, but yeah, I remember I really enjoyed it at the time making that video, having come to the realizations that I did through reading Proverbs earlier that week, or that day. Robert says, ugh, my favorite boxer, the Gypsy King Tyson Fury lost. The Gypsy King Tyson Fury? All right. I'm not sure what you mean or who you mean. Is that the actual stage name of the boxer, that entire thing? Mr. Big says, I know, I thought Tyson won. Won. I guess it's the one. Shalom, I was the first like. Thank you, James Bond. Good to see you. Shalom, and peace to everyone. Hope everyone, he says, has a blessed and beautiful Chanukah. Yes, happy holidays to all, whether it's Chanukah or whatever it is. May it be for the best. May it be for the better. It's there's the potential, even as the days get that much darker, and the days right and shorter, that a great light will shine. Ay, ay, ay. Right? The 6 days of creation. And then the moon will be like the sun, and the sun will be as it was, as it will be. Forgive the slurping. Can I ask, Mr. Big, can I ask if a convert commits mesirah? What should we do? Well, what do you mean? Din moser is, well, A, it's in dispute, because we have no Sanhedrin, so that's an issue that I don't want to touch. It's such a legalistic thing that I wouldn't know. A, I don't know enough halacha, and B, not of, I know, look, a convert is a person of the Hebrew tribes, traditionally nowadays of Judah. So, and belongs to the kingdom of Judah, belongs to the kingdom of Israel, belongs to the unified, split, whatever it is. You belong to the Hebrew tribes. And if you mean mesirah, as in din moser, right, where you're giving away pieces of land, right, or something to that effect, mesirah, where he's pushing out a real Jew and takes a Christian side. Wait, I'm sorry. Are we talking about mesirah of land, like the halachic mesirah? Or are we talking about a different type of mesirah? Which one is it? Oh, he says, but he is diverted to Judaism, but he's leading Jewish people to Jesus. Okay. That's what you mean by mesirah? That's not the mesirah that I know of classically, but again, because I'm not a maven in halacha, not in the least, right? I'm not a learned man, I'm not an educated man. Mesirah against a Jew, yes, but okay. Look, there's limsor mishehu lamalchut, which is to give one of your brothers to the authorities when you ought not to. Obviously, if you're supposed to, you're supposed to. But if you're talking about mesirah of land, okay, like he says, me, I'm Arab, he calls me not rap. Like he says me, I'm Arab, he calls me not rap. He calls me a fake Jew, yes. Let's put it this way. If we're talking about somebody, as you said, who is diverting and leading Jewish people to Jesus, then, again, there's a difference. There's no Sanhedrin now, so you can't really do anything except perhaps if he's part of your community and it's not up to the standards of your community specifically, then you could, you could basically cast him out. Right? You can do it's not recommended, I suppose, but cherem nidui, right? He can be an outcast. You toss him out of the community. People do that sometimes, depending on the community. Robert says, if someone wants to be called a certain name, but other people consider it sinning against Adonai to call them that, how would you go about that? Well, look, sinning means to miss the mark, traditionally. Lachto, lehachti. And so, a certain name, but other people consider it sinning? On what grounds? It's on a case-by-case basis. That's what I think. A convert leading people to Jesus. Okay. Well, I would do nothing except insist on the truth and back it up with facts whenever possible. And you can say, yes, you converted, but you are leading people to worshiping, presumably, to worshiping somebody who is dead. And we do not worship the dead. Those are all things, right? We can follow in their footsteps. We can do, their teachings. We don't follow them. We don't consider them living. We may call them, let's put it this way. We simply don't follow the dead like that. And in very specific cases, right? Chanoch, Eliyahu, where traditionally they did not die. Other times when perhaps you have what's called an ibul, when you have, let's say, the soul of a great righteous person, a prophet, a sage, a tzaddik, whatever the case may be, and it sort of inhabits you guides you, orients you, gives you a gentle push or not so gentle in a certain direction, right, towards your calling, whatever the case may be. I know not of such things. But if somebody is simply slandering you, calling you a fake Jew, I guess you can do what I do, which is go, yeah, I'm a fake Jew. I'm definitely fake. Definitely. There are a lot of things, a ton. I'm a lot of persona, aren't I? Yeah, I'm a fake Jew, all right. Just agree with them, and it deflates it deflates them entirely. Because what are they going to do? As for leading people to Jesus, if you're worshiping Jesus as a living God, as a Son of God, as a Savior and Lord, and he died, it's just simply not traditionally, it doesn't sit well with the Torah. It doesn't sit well with the Torah. And that's what I would say. People can do what they will. Yeah, I'm the Israeli Times. His name is David Costello. I may have come across that name, but way, way back, I have no idea. Are you Hungarian? No, I am not. Yehudi, did any of your family go to Hungary or Romania? No, as far as I know, we're not from that region. Close, right? But no. I mean, exile did its thing. Well, let's see. I think I missed something earlier here. No, I didn't. Let's go back to a couple more comments from... Wait, did I get everything that I wanted to here? Hey, Mr. Big, I'm sorry I can't be of more help. I simply have my own way of doing things. It doesn't mean you need to do it that way. It's just been my experience that if you're able to do it, then just say, yeah, you're right. Yes, I am. Whatever you say, state your facts, state your facts, and back it up with what you can, or state your opinions, your truth, whatever you want to call it, and back it up with facts, and see how it goes. Now, some people will simply close their eyes no matter what you throw at them, claiming that it's this, that, or the other, and it's not real, and some people, you just can't argue with them. You shouldn't argue with them. If arguing is your thing, by all means continue. It's not my thing. I don't debate and I don't argue, usually. You've been great advice. Thank you, I appreciate it. I hope, that it's of some value, but can I explain in Hebrew better? Try, go for it, yeah. If you want. Meanwhile, while you're typing away, I'll say hello, good people. Hi there, and hello. 7 people here. I have 2 likes. It's so much fun. So much fun to be here. Monday night. I just had a nice supper, leftovers from Shabbos, and here with a cup of tea. Everything is quiet and calm, and so many other places in the country are going through hell right now. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I do not take it for granted. Ay. Robert says, HN, what's your favorite genre of music or depend on mood? My favorite genre of music is classic rock. Psychedelic rock, classic rock. That's my favorite genre of music, basically. I'm also a fan of some alternative, as I've mentioned. Today, for instance, I was in the mood for classical, so while I was bathing the kids, we listened to Beethoven's Ninth, and we got to about 25. We got to the beginning of the 3rd movement, or something like that, and then the beginning of the 3rd movement or the end of the 2nd movement, and then we have to get out of the bath. So today, it's both. I have a favorite, and it also depends on the mood. Bong, James Bong. Oh, I have a question, he says. If I found out I am technically Jewish by rabbinic law, based on findings in my ancestry, do I have to tell people, or can I keep it to myself and convert as if I wasn't? You can tell people, or you can keep it to yourself, and you don't, and you can go through a conversion process. In some cases, the Rabbanut, right, the rabbinate here in Israel, if there's some sort of a possible doubt, and some people resent this, but if there is some kind of a doubt, people who consider themselves fully Jewish from birth go through a conversion process. Sometimes it's a lot more, it's speeded up more because you're not starting from scratch. But and if there's no circumcision, they perform circumcision. If there wasn't a mikveh, they go to the mikveh, right? The ritual pool, the ritual bath. or a ravine, or a river, stream, the sea, the ocean, whatever the case may be. They go through the technicalities and make sure that that's in place. So you can do all or you can do neither, but if you are technically Jewish, then that's it. You're technically Jewish. Hebrew mother, Hebrew son. That's the way it's been since before the Second Temple was erected, was built. Oh yeah, let's continue here. There were a couple of other comments here from. Okay, so Vondolch says, your channel popped into my feed, so I thought I would watch your video. Haha. He asks if I'm a believer in Jesus. No, I am not, and I told him as much. He said the statement or question posed about Satan and that he would like to see less humans is probably correct. I've read, he says, he came to steal, kill, and destroy. Also, he continues, the fallen angels who left their first estate and came down to earth and mated with human women had intended to destroy what God had created through Adam. So I told him, wait, hold on. Where was I? Oh, yes. I didn't give him a full response a few days ago. Maybe I didn't have the time, but I'll get more into it, and I'll speak of it a bit now. But before that, Robert says, wait, hang on. Thank you, James Wong. Haya mumar shenisa lehotzii oti. Yes, I understand. But again, since there's no Sanhedrin, it's on a case-by-case basis insofar as the community is concerned. That simply is it. It could very well be that if you live in a tight-knit, closed, religious, Orthodox community, or maybe even a Reconstructionist and Reform and Conservative would be of the same mind, of the same opinion on this, that they would excommunicate him, and they would say, you are not part of this community, and we want you out. So it really does depend. However, if you're literally talking about digitally and not actually part of a community, if you're talking about some dude on the internet who you don't even know saying you're fake, then I'd say just okay. Like I said, that's what I would do. I mean, if you have some sort of dealings with him that go beyond that back and forth in the comments section, let's say, then I have no idea, and it really is a personal thing. If it's literally somebody digitally who's saying you're fake, agree with them. I would agree with them. זה היה בטיקטוק. Okay, so it was on TikTok. I hear you. Robert says, oh, wait, I'm sorry. So the comment, and then I'll go back. So in that comment, he says he would like to see less humans. Now, I don't remember what I reacted to that at the time. I think that it was without humans, then there would be no adversary, because the animals don't have free will in the same way that we do. And we are that image of God, that the rest of creation, we're the image of God. The rest of creation is not. They have different attributes with which they are associated, but they're not that full potential of, you know what I mean? It's more of a simple divinity, right? Stimulus response, whereas we have that stimulus process response. And obviously other animals are intelligent, they have it too, and dolphins know things that I'll never know, and they have their own sophisticated boom. But biblically speaking, right, Torah speaking, Tselem Elohim, that's us. We have that capacity. We have that power of speech that is human. We have, music. And those fallen angels, right? There's the Midrash, Uzain, Azael, right? Ma Adam ki tachshavenu, right? Vatchasreu me'at me'elohim. The idea of the angels, the demons, right? The adversary and the helpers saying, what? They are the crown of creation? This thing? That's the crown of creation? These humans, this is it, really? You're going to give them the Shabbos, you're going to give them Torah, you're going to give them the commandments. What? Really? It's like, yes, because despite our humanity, we are human, and we have the capacity to overcome our weaknesses, and it's baked right into our essence, right? Remember your divinity, human beings. Remember your capacity for good and for great things. So they intended to destroy what God had created through Adam. I'm not sure if it was intended to destroy, because even though many times it's mentioned like that, eventually the left side, right, Din and the Klipot, the Sitra Achra, the other side, fallen angels, adversaries, they are all there because they are also servants. They have a purpose to serve. Without humans, I don't think they would be able to serve it in the best way, and I don't think they came to destroy. I think it's simply another way of getting to where we need to go, back to Eden, because if we are going to get over our weaknesses, they need to be put to the test to some degree. Obviously, not too great a test, and step by step, day by day, right? One day at a time. One thought at a time, one deed at a time, one word at a time. I think that those fallen angels, right, that came and mated, as you say, right, the Nephilim, the Bnei Elohim, that whole thing. The adversary, right, Satan, Samech Mem, the highest of the Srafim. I don't think they came to destroy. I think they came to do their job. And while it might seem like destruction, on the one hand, there's definitely that chaotic, destructive element. Definitely, obviously. And then the question of, and now what? Because sometimes, seemingly, random things happen, chaos reigns, and even if you're a good person, a great tzaddik, you die of a heart attack at 30. I could die any second. I could walk out the street, walking the dog, boom, someone runs me over. Anything, anytime, anywhere. What do I do with the time that I have? And without the test, without the trials, right, again, going back to earning what you keep versus just getting it. And this is what living in this life, right, Sheshtalafim Shana, this is what these 6,000 years, so to speak, are here to teach us. We are now earning our fruit of tree of life. It won't just be given to us when Shabbat comes in. We will be ushering in that Shabbat with our own, God willing, our own merits, our own deeds, words and actions and thoughts. And we'll be able to say, damn, we earned this tree of life, right? This fruit of the tree of life. We earned going back on that path. But as I said, yeah, you can look at it and think it's destruction and death and doom. And there will eventually come a time after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, or around that time, that death and destruction and doom will be taken away permanently. Permanently. Okay. Humanity is dying, said Jan Kabul 3357. And he says everywhere, because I said, what do you mean? He said everywhere the people are dying, they even kill the children. Why? To which I replied, there is a lot of hope for humanity, or so I stupidly believe. And I told him, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I understand where you're coming from. If you look at the world, oh my God, so much trouble in the world, man. So much trouble all the time. It's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable that I can sit here doing this in the comfort and safety of my own home. Everything can go to hell in a matter of seconds. And yet, it's here, it's happening now, live, and I am so grateful. And so, what's the word? I'm humbled, truly. Okay, let's get back to the chat. Robert says, I want to give a shout out to Hobo Shoestring Mark Nichols, who died. Great YouTube. He hops trains. A train hopper. I think that you, at some point, directed me to his channel, and I saw a few. If I'm not mistaken, it might be something I saw on Reddit. But I think it sounds familiar. It sounds familiar. I do that all the time. Best done with a limestone rock. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a few things here. Robert said this dude admitted to, at 13, circumcising himself with the help of a friend and was bleeding so much he had to be taken to emergency room. Wait, I'm sorry. Which dude? What are we talking about? Oh, some dude. Okay. I don't know if Yonatan is the kind of guy, says Ariel, that likes to direct the conduct of other people, verbally at least. No, right, not really. So yeah, limestone rock. Mr. Biggs says, aren't you wary of converts trying to change the traditional of our tatis? Well, you can make a very perfect and plain argument that I'm changing the tradition of my tati and his tatis before him. I do. I feel holds to a great pillar that is right shared by all of the tatis and mamas in my lineage. But am I weary? I haven't met enough converts in my life to be wary or weary of them. Second, if they are trying to change the traditions, then you must ask yourself, what traditions more exactly? Let's take Lechadodi, right? A few hundred years ago, it didn't exist. A few hundred years ago, Kabbalat Shabbat as a mainstream thing did not exist, right? Verses from the Psalms said as the sun sets after Mincha, before Arvit, before the evening prayers of Shabbat, before the first meal. And it's now inseparable. Other elements of Kabbalah and Hasidism over the years, other elements from the different foreign parts to which the Jews were banished and cast out, and they brought them back and they hold them as traditions, even things going back a few dozen years, let's say. Things going back to, I'll give you a classic example. In some Haredi communities, maybe most, maybe some, I wouldn't know, they don't recite the prayer for the safety of the state of Israel, right? Tfilah l'shlom ha'medina. There is a prayer that was written by the rabbinate of Israel, saying, God, keep this country, and those who keep it safe, keep them safe, and it's a nice prayer for the safety and well-being of Israel and its guardians and its safekeepers and its first responders, its people, its leaders, And some communities don't do that because some communities consider the state of Israel and the establishment of the modern-day state of Israel to be the literal beginning of redemption, physically mamish, tachlis, actually. Some say, no, it's still a secular state, ergo, it could not be the first, a stepping stone or a first step in any redemption, because it must be a theocratic, Torah, halachic state. Then you can say that that state is, in fact, Atchalta de Geula, the beginning of redemption. And because of this, there's a difference. Some traditions are adopted, other traditions are not. It really does go on a case-by-case basis, and I say that so much all the time in this live stream because a lot of things are nuanced, and I'm not an absolutist. And I'll just say that I've seen in my time so many different ways, let's say, to be a Jew. I use that term loosely, some people would say. I don't know. But to be a Hebrew, a Heb, and a lot of them are in keeping with the tradition of our tatis up to a certain degree. And so the question is, yes, and where is the cutoff? Is the cutoff the 5 books of Moses? Is the cutoff the ye old ancient oral traditions that were written down? Is it modern day halacha? Is it only the halachas that pertain, and have to do with the time when the temple existed and the people of Israel in the land of Israel? Or can you pick up other traditions and customs and things from foreign parts? There's so many different ways to go about it, and indeed, people do. And one of my favorite jokes, and it's short and I'll say it now because I love this joke. A Jew is washed up on a desert island. Many years later, a rescue boat shows up, right? Then they come to rescue him, and they see 2 buildings, one in front of the other. And they say, what are these 2 buildings? And he says, that's the synagogue I pray in every single day. And they say, and what's that other one? And he goes, that place, puh, I wouldn't be caught dead in there. I love that joke. So it's that kind of thing. Where's the cutoff? What do you consider traditional, Mr. Big? What do you consider traditional as like an add-on, but you wouldn't, it doesn't burn your ass? Hey, says Robert Harrison, traveled to 49 US states and Canada and never paid a penny through jumping. He traveled to 49 US states. Well, now you got to say, which one was the one that he didn't travel to? Hawaii? Is there... right? Hawaii and Alaska are not. Is there a train to Alaska? I have no idea. Was it Hawaii that he didn't get to, or is there a train going there? Who knows? I don't. I mean, I performed the fastest bris in the West. Mr. Moyle Ariel Marshall, sir. Mr. Big, do you read Akedat Yitzchak? There was a time years ago that I read it on a daily basis, right? Korbanot. In the beginning, right in the beginning of Shachris, right? Shachrit, the morning prayer. And I haven't read it. I guess, well, I read it recently when we read it in Parashat Vayera. So I read it recently, yes, but not today. Or the Kuzari. So I studied the Kuzari in high school. I studied the Kuzari a little bit more in yeshiva, but I haven't gone through it in a very long time. I remember enjoying it, truly enjoying it. Rabbi Yehuda Levi, he makes some very good points there. And lest we forget, my favorite thing about that book, among others, but definitely a very memorable thing, is when the Chacham is there talking to the king of Kuzal. And the king of Kuzal says, you know, you speak so highly, I've mentioned this before, you speak so highly of the land of Israel, why aren't you there? And the Chacham says, you know what? You got me. It's to my fault that I haven't gone. Rabbi Yehuda Levi very famously did go on to make the Aliyah, the pilgrimage, the Aliyah to the land of Israel. He ascended and he was killed, if I'm not mistaken, in Jerusalem by an Ottoman, no, not an Ottoman, what was it? An Arab guard or someone, he was slain in Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken. Though not immediately when he arrived. Robert says, your thoughts on the new Syrian lead? I have no thoughts on that. None whatsoever. I think that if it means the end of the civil war, and if it means a chance for Syria to repair itself, maybe the people, the leaders, politicians, religious figures, maybe they are, after all these years, tired of war and bloodshed. Maybe they are ready to put down the sword. Maybe they are ready to make peace with the state of Israel. Maybe. Those are my thoughts. I have no idea. None whatsoever about the new regime, the new leadership. I wouldn't know the first thing. Mr. Big says, or War of the Lords by Ralbag. War of the Lords? Hang on a second, I'm going to Google that. Oh, wait a second. Come on. Here, let me just quickly Google that. The wars, Sefer Milchamot Hashem, is that what you mean? The wars of the Lord, yes. Yes. I haven't, Milchamot Hashem. I think that at some point, I studied Jewish philosophy in the last 2 years of high school. We did that as well a little bit here and there during the other grades, because I went to religious schools, but with a focus for 2 years on Jewish philosophy. High school level, but still, it was a blast. I had so much fun. So much fun. It coincided with me going in more in depth in history on the origins of Hasidism, because that's what we were learning at the time. Oh, yeah, so many things. Me at the end of high school. Wow. Such a great blessing growing up in Jerusalem like that. So no, Sefer Milchamot Hashem, I haven't read through it. I've read parts of it. I think I studied, this is why I mention it, I think I studied the introduction. But no, I don't think that I went through that book. I've only seen it referenced, or maybe I've read parts here and there, but no, I haven't read through that book. And that is something that I should remedy. Ariel says, crap, you have been talking already. You were not loading up for me before, just the chat. Guess I will watch from the start now. Thanks, Ariel, man. I mean, you do you. If you want to go back, if you want to stay here, it's all good. It's all good. Still me. Hi, still me. Good for you. You're still here. Nice to see you again. Good for you. Good for me. Still me. Good health and wealth to you all. Peace and love. Hit like. Thank you. I appreciate it. Peace and love. Health and wealth. It is no small thing to have those things. No. Robert Harrison says, I heard other Orthodox say the ones worshiping the Rebbe is wrong. Yes, again, that's a tradition, right? Worshiping the tzaddik, not as a deity, but as somebody who, let's say, embodies what Hasidim would call atzmut. Or, let's put it this way. In the same way that there are certain people who say that the soul is actually part of the Eloha, actually part of God. I disagree with that just on a personal level. I go with the other school of thought that says, no, 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 complete separation between creator and creation. And so in the same way that there are some that say that the soul is part of God, people say that the tzaddik, right, the Rebbe, is also in that way a part of God, but even higher, since he is the Rebbe, he is the tzaddik, he's the leader. Worshipping the Rebbe, like I say, is wrong because he's dead. So you don't worship him like that. You worship him as you worship those who died. You don't make them deities, right? But you do, and you can follow the Torah that they taught, the teachings, right? And the different things that they gave to the world. If they had right, new tidbits of halacha and things that they answered, and certainly when you have a Hasidic court like Chabad, you follow the Rebbe. Worship the Rebbe? No. And if you're going to worship him, worship who he was as a person, the attributes that he embodied. Mr. Big, what about Nevi'im or Ktuvim? Right, I go through the Bible regularly, whether it's the Torah portion or whether it's recently. Where have I been recently? Recently, actually, it's been more Torah and less Nevi'im Ktuvim, but I go through the Bible pretty regularly. There are times when recently I haven't been able to, in the past few months, I noticed that if I'm reading while I'm traveling, right, on the bus or whatnot, I get a little dizzy, I can't focus, so now I'm with the earbuds on the bus and not with my eyes in a book. I do hope that I will be able to. One of the great pleasures in traveling is learning Torah while you travel, or reading the Bible while you travel, and I feel that it's in a very big way actually fulfilling that commandment of right, when you travel on the path. So I'm a fan of Nevi'im or Ktuvim, but my opinion of Nevi'im and Ktuvim are that they are both there to guide us towards Torah. They are both there to guide us back to the 5 books of Moses. That's my immediate thought on Nevi'im and Ktuvim. No train to Hawaii, okay. Robert says, will you ever write a Nazarite book? I think you or someone else asked that recently, because I remember responding to this in the last few weeks. I would love to write a book. I would love to write a book not about the halachas of the Nazarite, but simply my experience as a modern-day Am Haaretz, man of the people, Hebrew Nazarite, no more, no less. Which begs the question, where do I get off thinking that I could actually hold, right, a book and make it compelling and good? So because of that, not because I don't have, I have, let's put it this way, I have faith in what I'm trying to build here as a person, right, as a family and all that, here in Jerusalem, here in Israel. Just by doing my thing. I hope, because I'm a writer, that I will one day write a book. And I have a couple of notes that I've written on what I would want to be, on different things that I would want to include in such a book. And so I have a few lines here and there on what it is that I would want it to be. Autobiographical in nature, but I'm not here to kiss my own ass. So I would want it to be something along the lines of, this is my experience, and as time goes on, and this is probably why I haven't written it yet, I still don't know where it's going. So I do want to write a book. You can even say in the process of writing down notes, right, that will later become that book. I've already started the process, but nothing comes to mind in the way that I say, yes, I must write about this. Because there are, right, I have a couple of the recent books from the last 5 years on the Nazarite ship and the halachas and the different books, right, sacred books and other books, right, say about the Nazarite ship and the modern day Nazarite and the different types of Nazarite ship, what is permissible, what isn't, with a temple, without a temple, that whole thing. The 2 books that I have here that are about the Nazarite ship, right, Nazirut Bazman Hazeh and Nazir Elohim, such great books. And they're here, right? Written and printed here in Jerusalem. I met one of the authors, and I plan to meet the second author at some point in life. I do want to write a book on the Nazarite ship. Yes, I do. But, and I will. I will. Robert says, I'm thinking about challenging you to read through the written Torah with me on the new year. What do you mean? Do you mean that I go live and read the entire Torah? Is that what you mean? That's a challenge. So, dude, not in one day. Okay. James Bong says you can use AI to help you write a book. Oh, no. If I write a book on the Nazarite ship, if I write like ebooks and stuff for work, I'll use ChatGPT. If I'm writing a book on the Nazarite ship, I will definitely be typing most of it and writing down some of it that I will later type up. I was recently watching an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where the captain's son, who is a writer, someone gives him a pen and a pad, right, or paper and pen rather, and he says, "I've never written with I've never used a paper and pen before." And she says, right, the one who gave it to him says, what does she say? Well, the gist is that. Oh, here's what she said. She quoted somebody, fictional of course, who said that when the writer holds the pen to paper, it's like the pen to paper. It's like the painter holding the brush to the canvas. I really like that. Robert says, no, a few chapters each hold each other accountable, we'll see. Well, that depends. I'm not against it. I'm not saying no, but to read through the written Torah, if we are reading it, then it's in Hebrew. And if not in Hebrew, then I read the JPS Tanakh version. So if we do it, that's how I'd like to do it. It doesn't mean it has to be that way. How would you want to do it? Hang on. Wow, how long have I been on? Wow, almost an hour. I am so grateful. It's such a wonderful flow that there is here. I love it. I love doing this. I love sitting here and, talking with you people, expanding my mind and thinking of things from different angles and, answering some things that I have before and answering things that I've never answered before. It's a great blessing that I get to experience this and right along with you here live, raw, warts and all. Such is life. Is that it? I think that's it. I think I'll say goodbye. Yes, it's been almost an hour. This has been such a blast. I genuinely appreciate every like, every comment, every contribution you make in the chat, every view. It's so much fun. I don't take it for granted. Your time and your attention means so much to me. I hope I can continue to give it to you. And please know that when I'm not here any Monday or Wednesday or Friday, it's because, as you know, I want to give 110%. And if I can't, give 100% at least, I'm probably not going to go live because I value your time and your attention. And it's such an encouraging thing, right? You give me a boost in the right direction, right? Because what we're doing here, let's say something happens, the video isn't saved, and all we have is this experience that will never be seen again as such. It's live, it's raw, it's happening now, and I love it. Let's have a good day, a good night. Happy holidays to all. And I will hopefully see you on Wednesday. Until then, maybe we'll hit it off in the comments now. I'll wait a minute and the comments will be on. Maybe I'll answer a few comments. I am going to say Laila Tov, good night from Jerusalem. God bless.